Well, it's that time again here in the Mid-South. It's mid-April, and today, one of the days I look forward to all year, we're going to plant some corn. You need to have your soil ready to go, and we have worked this. This has been turned. It was turned in the fall, and wheel hoed 3 different times to keep the weeds down. So that much is ready. We have seed. This year we're planting ambrosia, which is a bicolor, not super sweet, but sweet enhanced type corn. And we've had really good luck with this over the years. And we have our cedar. As you can see, it's a Haas Garden cedar. We used the Garden Way for years and years and years. Last year we broke down and bought one of these, and there's definitely a learning curve with it, but wow, you talk about a nice tool. First thing you got to do before you even go out to the field is test your cedar. It comes with a multitude of plates. For ambrosia, we're going to start with seed plate number 4, test it, and if it works, we're going to go put it in. If it doesn't, we'll have to make some modifications to the plate. You can, if the plate is too small, obviously you can drill it out, and if not, you can get blank plates, which we have, and I did that last year to help get the proper size seed. So I got the cedar up on Mrs. Possum Ridge Farm's picnic table. Let's just keep that between us, okay? So what I'm going to do is, this has been sitting all year, all winter, and so we're going to take the cover off and take the wing nut, the brush, see why they call it a brush, and this, I don't know what they call it, we'll call it a spacer. And we're going to make sure everything seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. And we're going to put in the number 4 plate. You can see it's got a little half moon thing there. All right. Then we're going to put our spacer in here. Spacer. Put that little puppy in right about, let me do this, right there. Put our brush in and make sure it goes into the these little bracket things. Then we're going to take our wing nut. And so the thing you really have to be careful with, I learned this last year, is if you tighten this up, nothing works. So as it says, and maybe I should have read the directions last year, do not over tighten. I think probably as loose as you can stand it is where that needs to go. As you can see down here, the way this works is the seeds fall into this hole, which was right under this brush, and it goes down, falls into this coulter, and it drops out down here at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some seed in here and spin the wheel. As you can see, the plate moves, and hopefully the seed will drop into our cover that I put under here, just like that. That'll make this a whole lot easier if it works the way it's supposed to. Ambrosia seed is pretty small seed for corn. If you were to have a silver queen or something like this, I doubt if this number 4 plate would work, but you need to size it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a couple seeds and set them in the holes. I already did this, so I know it's going to fit, but let me show you how that works. See, I put a seed in the hole, right? That seed just fits in that hole just the way it should. If the seed was popping out the top, or it wouldn't fit in the hole, you'd have to make some modifications. If you don't get those seed holes just right, what'll happen is you'll be driving along with your cedar, it'll jam. The back wheel will stop. Basically, you get the same thing that you get with the Garden Way about every 15 feet or so. You back up and you start again. The best way, though, is to do it proactively and make sure your seed plates work. So again, here's our cover. We're going to drop the seeds into here. They're in. There's enough seeds in there for me to test. And the wheel is up on the kickstand, which is one of my favorite features, by the way. So let's turn this thing and hopefully it will do what it's supposed to do. See them going around in the hole right there. Just make sure they're dropping. Sure sounds like they are. Now that knob right there is how you adjust your height. When you turn that, these go up and down and raises your coulter, raises and lowers your coulter. What I do is I measure under this wheel. If you look, there's about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch space in there to ensure that happens. They say you can tell by the little marks. Those marks don't make a lot of sense to me, so I do it my way. This is where the corn's gonna go. Now, we won't fill this entire spot up. It's probably 100, maybe 125 feet long by about 50 feet wide. So we'll plant a sizable portion of this, but on each side, i.e. all the way to the right, I guess that's left, and all the way to the right, we won't. We will put in vine crop. Why would we do that? Well, I don't know if you've ever heard, but some vine crops, i.e. pumpkins, probably Cherokee pumpkins, will have little prickles on them. And those prickles will hopefully keep out some of the critters. Here we have rabbits, we have raccoon, we have possum, we have deer, we have you name it, we got it. We got bobcat running around. So I want to try to deter little critters coming up to eat my corn. Now, as this gets bigger, I'll probably have to put electric fence around it so that the deer and everybody else lets us keep some. But right now, we're going to plant as much of it as we can, and whatever's left will go in vine crops. Next thing we're going to talk about is how or what shape you're going to plant your corn patch. Now, I have seen guys with 2 or 3 long rows of corn, and then at the end of the year, they come back and say, well, you know, my corn wasn't filled out, and it wasn't very big, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because corn is wind pollinated. Wind pollinated means when the wind blows, all of the let's just say necessary items that are on the silk and on the tassel get together and create baby corn. That's kind of an explanation for you city folks. In any case, you need to plant your corn patch in a rectangular or square fashion. That way, when the wind blows, all of the pollinators necessary will fall down, get on the corn, and fill out your ears. Rectangular or square, that's the best way. What is this? This is my string and my little stakes I use to keep the row straight. Why do I want to keep the row straight? Well, first of all, it looks good. And second of all, it makes it easier to weed. If I'm using a wheel hoe, it's not a huge deal. But in a corn patch of this size, I'm gonna bring the tractor up here with cultivators. And eventually I'm gonna bring the row builder up here to hill. So if the row is crooked, you're gonna end up tearing up your corn. So your rows have to be straight. I realize it's kind of hard to see, but this was row built in the fall. And I have allowed the rows to kind of go down a little bit with some of the different cultivating we've been using, i.e. wheel hoes, but it's still there. That shows me where the rows are. It also allows me to, when I get ready to do this again, I know where to hill. So I'm gonna take my trusty tools here and run a string from where I want it to go on the left to all the way where I want it to go on the right. Here we go. And of course, my string's going to tie up, but we'll work with that. And we're going to go down, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80 feet, somewhere down here. Very unscientific measurement. And we are going to put in another stake. As you can see, I hope, my bright yellow string is pretty straight. Hopefully really straight. And that will help me later on when I start having to weed with the tractor. I'll run the cultivators down through here and life will be easier, I hope. So we'll add a little seed here. Actually more than a little bit. Spilled a bunch last year. Made a lot of mistakes last year, my first year with a seeder. There is a learning curve, but it's worth every bit of it. Now, quick little checklist. Seed, very important, yes. Depth, yes. Actually, one year, we forgot to set the depth and it was for the fall garden. And we can grow, we don't do it much anymore, but we can grow corn in the summer. And so once the first crop of corn went out, the second one we would start, and you have to plant it deeper. So we forgot to set it and our spring germination rate was awful. I had to start again. So check your depth. Are your rows straight? Is your garden relatively weed free? If so, time to plant the corn. And there you are. We are done seeding our corn for at least this spring. We may do it again summertime, but I kind of doubt it. Just depends on how hot it is. Not really big into seeding stuff, in 100-degree heat. Now, if you notice, our rows are wider than typical rows. That's exclusively because when I go to hill, I'll be using a tractor, and these will be, I'm guessing these are 4 foot across. Typically, your corn rows are probably 30 inches to 36 inches, but we have the space, so we use it. The last and maybe most important step in this entire process, going to get some fertilizer and sprinkle down on where I just seeded the corn. Now, we're going to use triple 15, but triple 13, triple 10, whatever you have for the initial germination is good. As the seeds come up and your plants start looking well, you go to a higher nitrogen fertilizer, and we'll talk about that when the time comes. So let's get that done. There's our fertilizer, and away we go. Let's talk rates for our fertilizer. Well, we're going to use my highly fine-tuned arm to sprinkle and not put too much. Now, yes, I have my degree in agriculture and agriculture-related field. Yes, I know how to figure rates. Yes, I know how to do all these things. And yet, matter of fact, when I think about my college days, I can just see my instructors slash professors going, "You're going to do what with your fertilizer?" Well, I'm going to sprinkle. Here's my official sprinkling can. And you can see where your lines were, and you just sprinkle right on top of it. Now, because these are semi-raised rows at the moment, I'll have to keep water on them until we get rain, which is day after tomorrow. So I'll be hand watering these for a day and a half or so. We'll get some rain in a week or so, these will be up. So stay tuned and we will keep you aware of how our corn crop is doing. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Drop them in the comments below. Please subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. I'd sure like to make you more videos. Until next time, I'll see you down at the barn.